policy, they don't have any food ones for the end of the month, for the end of the month. Because, you know, the people on bills, then,
Hello, everyone. Hi. We're going to get started. So I just wanted to take a couple of seconds and, well, maybe a minute. And welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We've been trying to do a series, trying to bring education to our marketplace. And I'm super excited about this one. We've had the many Mr. Thank you, goodness gracious. We did one on reverse mortgages. We did one on ADUs. And hopefully we'll continue this throughout the year and into the future. But like I said, this is the one I'm most excited about because it's one that's closest to my heart, because Jerry is like family to me. I'm going to read his bio. Jerry Pujols, founder and CEO of Homestead Real Estate, has sold real estate in the Napa Valley for over 20 years. Prior to creating Homestead Real Estate, he founded was the COO of Zone Coaching. He coached hundreds of high-producing agents within the Mike Ferry organization. Sorry, blended those. Jerry has written 2 books on real estate, including a bestseller, Secrets to Real Estate Success. He has consistently been ranked as Napa's top producing broker. So he's all those things, but he's so much more. He's a father of 4. He has 3 grandchildren and 1 on the way. He is of Cuban and Puerto Rican descent, which is how we initially connected with my Cuban descent. I think he left home at 15. He was a heavy equipment operator. He started a produce business with, I believe, about $0 in his pocket and grew it into a very, very successful produce business. And then he realized that he wanted more. And I believe he started his real estate business with about $0 in his pocket. And I've been privileged to watch that growth from not quite the very beginning, but almost the very beginning to where he is today. And he continues to coach agents within his own organization and is always willing to share his knowledge and expertise with anybody that will listen and or ask for it. But he and I have worked with so many buyers throughout the years, and people have always walked away satisfied and content and feeling as though they've learned something and gained something along the way. So I'm, like I said, super excited that he's got so much to share. And please welcome Jerry Pujols.
All right, well, I better deliver. And you just reminded me, that I left something out of my notes, and it's, you're taking me back to when I used to sit with those clients. I took myself out of production about a year and a half ago. But one thing that I resonate with is selling from the heart rather than from the mind. And I talked to you a little bit about that recently. I was talking to Sarah about that at an appointment that we went out on. And the one thing that I believe sets some of us apart is the ability to sell from the heart rather than from rational thinking and dollars and cents. It's when you connect with people at that level that you get to go the rest of the way. We brag a lot about these 350 5-star reviews that we have. We just hit 350 the other day. We're over that now, and they just keep pouring in. And it's all because selling from the heart is where it's at. Selling from the mind is really easy to undermine when you're competing against people that sell from a different place. So today, I want to just take you through this slide deck, and I want to start with the 4 points that I want to cover today. Point number 1 is the peaks and valleys of real estate. Number 2, which is really important right now, is adapting to any market. I want to go over some do's and don'ts. And number 4, how to win big in real estate. So before we get started, I also wanted to ask you to consider a few things. If you've ever felt like there is too much noise for you to stay focused, say yes. Okay, so if that's been a thing, and if you feel that there, because of social media and everything that we're going through right now, that we can be bogged down by noise, say yes.
Yes.
So I want you to consider that this is going to be a recurring theme through the hour that we spend together today. And what I want to ask you all to do is to quiet that noise for an hour, if you can. It's only an hour, and I promise that I'll be as respectful of your time as possible. I'm going to stop right at 1 o'clock on time. Please keep my time and let me know when my time is up, because that's really important, because your time is what's most important. And the time that you spend with your family and outside of work is even much more important than the time that you spend here with me or the time that you spend working. So keep an open mind. And also the other thing that I'll ask you to do, because I used to do this when I would go to events, realize that out of today, you are going to get something. It's not necessarily something that comes from me, but it'll be something that comes from you. It'll be something within your mind that says, I'm in a place where I want to learn something. And your mind is going to allow for something to come in that might have nothing to do with what I'm saying, something entirely to do with what you're needing at this moment. Is that fair? Okay. So I'll tell you a little bit about me, since Hilda pretty much covered it so well. Hilda, I'm so blown away. So this is me in the produce business with my dear wife, Susan, who happens to still be in front of me today, which is impressive in and of itself. So started with $300, like Hilda said. I wasn't broke. I had $300. I told Susan one day that I was going to take the last $300 that we had with 4 kids at home, and I told her that I was going to start a produce company. I was going to take that $300, go to the produce market, start a produce company. We lived in Alta Heights before we moved to Luke Drive. There's somebody here in the audience that was with me, probably bought her. I'm assuming that's your first house when you lived in Luke Drive. Susan and I bought our first brand new house too, and we were all in our early 20s. And boy, has time flown by, right?
Yeah.
And this person would see my produce trucks going in, 3 o'clock in the morning. Before she was in the restaurant business, I was in a parallel vertical, and this is something that we watched ourselves do. But it was a business that requires so much. It was the driving to San Francisco. My warehouse was over there. It was the graveyard shifts. And then we all know how easy chefs are to work with. So with that being, I had to take the jab. But, their expectations are high. And we have to play at that level because these are Napa Valley chefs. So we built that company last year in sales. We closed, I use the term close. We sold over $20 million worth of produce. But even that business was so competitive that margins were so tight that it was hard to even eke out a living based on what we had to give up to stay in the game. So somebody suggested I try real estate. And we did, so real estate kind of took me from what I had learned in produce to 53 transactions my first 10 months, which is something that was something back in the day. Now you see people do that, but I think back then it was way harder. Number one, Hilda said it, I'm half Cuban, half Puerto Rican. Raised in Miami, came here via New York City in '87. I didn't know anybody in Napa. And with that being said, I had to start from not zero, below zero. And I started in real estate, not with profit. It wasn't starting at zero. It was way below zero because I came out of bankruptcy from my produce company. So I had to literally pay the courts back $60,000 in a matter of my first 12 months in real estate to get that BK absolved and to get that release, so then I can go forward and do the things that I wanted to do. So I started this business from zero, but the one thing that I realized that made a difference for me, it was the ability to talk to people. Have any of you heard of somebody named Mel Robbins? She's a dynamic, highest paid motivational speaker right now. And anything that she talks about from a place of studies and proof. And she talks about the word confidence. Confidence is something that we think is a feeling, that we believe is how we feel. I think Sarah would agree that when I go on a listing appointment with her, and it's her client, that I show that I'm confident. I'm here to challenge that that's not confidence. That's called 20 years of doing something over and over and over again to a place where you can show like you're confident. But I learned from Mel Robbins that confidence is not a feeling. Confidence is the ability to try to do something. So I want to encourage anybody here today that if they want their results to be different, you have to try and do something that's different. If you continue to do the same thing that you've done before, we've heard it before, definition of insanity, you're going to get similar results on what you got before. If the results were great before and you wanted to tweak them, all you have to do is tap into confidence and try something else. It could be something as similar as this. From this, I'm also going to share with you that I have two amazing fears. Number one is public speaking. Number two is flying. And those are the two that would consume me. So I was always afraid of that. So I had to always tap into that trying, that go. Hilda has watched me in front of 300-400 people back in the day where there were 300-400 people at the MLS meetings, literally freeze in fear as the words were trying to come out of my mouth because I couldn't get them out. So I was paralyzed by my own anxiety and my own fear. So I want to encourage you that if you want to see results in a different way, that you tap into that, the trying. I like that Irvin is here because, and Hilda, because our families left from Cuba, some of them on a dinghy, you know, literally doing that to come here. And this is the least that we can do to show our appreciation for that. It's just try, you know, expose yourself to a little more. And I'm going to tell you also that if it feels uncomfortable, this is exactly what we should be doing. I assure you that there were butterflies when I pulled into that driveway this morning in my stomach. I'm just trying to keep them. So I did have a lot of fun in real estate. I did take myself from the 53 transactions to over $100 million in production with this amazing team that I built. And now I'm loving the building of the company. That's like my next level, my next thing. In addition with other things that real estate has allowed Susan and I to do with this, diversify. Hilda has seen me watch over 30 properties over the years and do different things with them and leverage ourselves in a way that real estate has become a very, very rewarding career for us. But it's always been by doing the right things, even when people are not watching. Now, I'm also going to clarify that the perception of, and here's another thing that I want you to manage, is perception. Because the perception of how somebody like me does business and is able to achieve what I've been able to achieve is not in line with who we truly are, because this business comes with one thing, and it's called a lot of jealousy, a lot of animosity. There is a ton of that in this industry. And it's part of what we have to do when it comes to silencing the noise, because a lot of that is noise too. It almost broke me early on. I remember calling Doug Fowler on year 3. As I told him I was earning over $500,000 a year. We're going way back when, 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. And I told Doug, I don't know that I can do this, because the heat was so hot. I mean, it was so overwhelming, you know, because people are watching this guy who's barely 30 years old, and he's just, you know, doing these things and driving the Porsche. And it was just overwhelming for them, because back then nobody had closed 100 transactions in a year. It was Carol Terry closing 50, and she was a rock star. And here I came out of nowhere and I was doing 75 to 100 by year 2. So be mindful of that. It's all noise, you guys. So remember, it's all noise. So I wanted to, just for a little bit more credibility, and I don't know that I needed to put this in here because a lot of you know who I am. I had the great pleasure of traveling, and, you know, with Tom and Mike Ferry, I got to coach a lot of people. I got to speak in a lot of venues, but my books really launched me to the next level, and I was booked at over 500 events over a period of time that took me out of real estate. So I left real estate for about 4 years, and then I literally started real estate from nothing again and had to reinvent myself yet again another time. This is all we're all doing right now in this shifting market, is reinventing ourselves. The market's going to do whatever it's going to do. So I want to go right into just a little bit about my passions, and I'll go really quick into the presentation. So one of my favorite things in the world to do is go out on adventures. I love hiking. I mean, I love hiking so much that about 5 years ago, I told Susan, I'm going to go do a solo on the John Muir Trail by myself, and I'll be leaving in 3 days. So the reason I tell you why I did something like that is because the one thing that consumes a lot of us is analysis paralysis, and we want everything to be ready before we just get started. But one thing that's interesting about walking, it only requires one foot in front of the other. And I had to face my third fear, which is the thought of being alone at night. I never knew if I can be alone at night, because the last time I've been alone at night was when I was 15 years old, sleeping in my car next to the airport by Miami International Airport. So do you think there was some trauma along with being alone at night? By the way, Irvin, when I slept alone at night, at 15 years old next to that airport, I was armed because I was too afraid to sleep without a weapon next to the Miami International Airport. And usually the people that would knock on my door were the cops saying, keep moving, buddy. And they didn't realize that I was barely 15 years old. So the reason I share with you a little bit about me is so you understand that if you come from less privilege than what I've had, or the same, or more, it's all possible and we're all capable, right? By the way, I won't even get into the fact that I dropped out of school in the 10th grade and I never went back. So anything that I've done from there till now has been self-taught and taught by the 5 people closest to me. And I'll talk more about who you surround yourselves with later. So the reason I'm telling you about this is because it's another thing that we have to get over, analysis paralysis, and we just have to get started. I have some ventures coming up real soon. So the first thing I wanted to talk about today was the peaks and valleys of real estate. If you agree that there are peaks and valleys in real estate, say yes. Okay. If you agree that we're in a valley right now or heading into a valley, say yes.
Yes.
Okay. So since we all feel the same about that, I'm going to give you my definition of a peak. My own definition of a peak is the highest number of sales during a specific period of time. It could be a month, it could be a quarter, it could be a year, it could be longer. If you agree with that, say yes. Okay. So with that being said, what I think is most important is your personal share of the market. That's the only thing you can control. You can't control the first thing, you can control the second one, your own personal market share. I wanted to share with you that if you need to know more about that, talk to me afterwards and how to figure out your market share. I'd be happy to help you with that. Okay, so I've been at this, I think this is year 25, and I need to confirm that, but I think this is year 25. And how many of you, any of you guess how many cycles there have been in the last 25 years? Okay. I'm glad that none of you are trying because nobody would guess it. Because when there's cycles within those cycles.
Mm-hmm.
There's cycles in a week. There's a better day to sell if you look at statistics. There's a better month to sell. All those things are there. But have people done well selling in the middle of December? Have people done amazingly well buying in the middle of December? There's always opportunities. So again, noise becomes what everybody else says. Putting our house on the market in the middle of spring is what most sellers tell you. Why is that possibly not the best time to put a house on the market in the spring? Because a lot of competition, right? So again, we have to be careful with that. So I'm going to go into my definition is of my definition of a valley. So my definition of valley is low inventory. But notice what I put next to that. Not if you're a buyer's agent, right? So if I had most of the listings right now, am I in a bad? It's a bad market for me. It's not. That's why listings are so important, and that's why we need to be contacting those sellers more often, and we do need to break through the fear of calling people. So interest rates, can we control the interest rates? Okay, but that does affect the market, right? It affects what buyers do. It affects sellers, whether they should be putting it on the market or should not, but we can't control it. The economy, can we control the economy? Okay, and unemployment, we can't control unemployment, but the one thing I can tell you right now, it's very low. So that's another thing. So I wanted to just share this little clipping with you that Brokers of the Valley did for me when I was with Coldwell Banker. This was 2009 or 2010. This was in the middle of the Great Recession. And I was awarded top 10 for Coldwell Banker for the entire state of California in sales volume. And that came in the middle of that. But I can assure you that what Hilda and I were doing during that time was the opposite of what everybody else was doing, because everybody else was using that time legitimately to save their homes, to do whatever they had to do. We were taking that time to lean in and go to work. And by that, the competition was asleep at the wheel and we were getting most of the listings, she was getting most of the loans. So we were doing okay in that market. We weren't doing as good as we did last year, right, or the year before, but we did very, very well, even through the worst market that we've had since most of us have been alive. So I want to go into the next slide. I have a wonky table here. Examples of peaks and valleys. So right now, if you agree that there's a lack of inventory, say yes.
Yes.
Okay. And if you agree that there's a perceivable best time to sell within the year, say yes. Okay. If you agree that there's a perceivable best time to buy within the year, say yes. Okay. Now we're going to keep going. Now, if you agree that someone has to buy or sell in any market, say yes. Someone always has to buy or sell. So it's just all about you finding that individual. To find that individual, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Is there opportunity in any market? Yeah. And there are peaks and valleys within any market, but the last point that I wanted to make is there are peaks and valleys within the peaks and valleys. Oh, look at that, Idisham is working. So, oh, I wonder what happened there. Adapting to any market. So the one thing that I wanted to assure all of you, so you can walk out of here feeling better about a cycle, is this is temporary. This is more temporary than you even imagine. We have to create our own reality by leaning in and staying focused with IPAs. Does anybody know what an IPA is? Now I'm really worried.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Okay, an IPA is an income producing activity. Okay, so recognizing what your IPAs are is a big part of the equation, and staying focused and committed to them for a minimum of 40 hours a week. What would your sales volume look like if you were truly effective, efficient, and committed to your IPAs for 40 hours a week? Could you possibly double revenue? It's a thought. Bruce Lee said, a warrior is an average person with laser-like focus. I love that quote because I'm about as basic and average as they come. The one thing that sets me apart, and I was just talking to one of my cousins about that this morning, because he was asking me a few things, and I said, man, the one thing that sets me apart is the noise. I can quiet the noise because it's all noise. I've recently lost 53 pounds in 4 months. It's not even 4 months, 3 months. I've lost 53, 54 pounds. I have another 50 to go. And with that being said, because I'm looking for optimal health. I'm not looking for basic health. I'm looking for optimal health because I have some big, physically challenging adventures coming on, and they're big, and I'm excited about them. And it's a great thing for me to look forward to. And I'm focused, but do you think there are naysayers and people that are saying, why are you even doing that? You're 56 years old. Why do you want to climb that? I just do, and if I do, I know I have to prepare for it. How do I prepare? By quieting the noise of those people, because those people are the ones that will keep me from achieving what I want to achieve. I want to build the most effective and efficient real estate company in Napa that helps their agents have the most laser-like focused revenue that any agent has in the Napa Valley. And here's how I do it. I do it by generating amazing leads that our agents could just adopt and go close on properties that we just hand over to them. I worked for companies in the Valley for many years and was rarely handed a lead, because back in the day, I used to sit at floor desk. Remember floor desk? Did any of you ever do floor desk? Those activities were income producing activities. You can sit at a floor desk and get a phone call and go convert the client and take them to a close. When was the last time that happened for you? Not likely. People don't call on floor desk. People are going online first to look for an agent. But what do? We intercept. We know how to intercept and how to get a hold of those people and then hand them over to the agent. But that happens with few things: reviews, reputation, and the ability to answer a phone. Very few people have the ability to answer the phone all the time. We do that. So I want to go into beyond Bruce Lee. Oh, this is killing me. I'm such a details guy. These things just kill me. Adapting to any market. So creating your own reality and what are IPAs. Now that we know what RPAs are, you have to talk to people. The biggest secret here is we have to talk to people. I love Irvin Echeverria for many reasons, but one of the things that impresses me the most about him, and you're not part of the presentation, but part of what impresses me the most about Irvin and is this tenacity and ability to go to people. I have a feeling, even though he might not admit it, I have a feeling that before he gets somewhere, there might be butterflies, or there might be nerves, or there might be this, or there might be that. But then he knows how to quiet the noise, silence the voices, because we all have the voices. And some of us call it a committee. But they're in there. And how do we silence the committee so then we can go forward and talk to people? You have one job and one job only. It's really literally to talk to people. Who you talk to and how you do it is very personal. The way that Irvin does it and the way that I do it is totally different. I'm not afraid to literally cold call somebody out of the blue. I know how to get into a conversation with anybody. Irvin knows how to get into a nonprofit. He knows how to get into the city of Napa, the county of Napa. He knows how to move and shake and talk to all those people and shake hands in a way that just blows their mind. But I'm sure that that didn't just happen overnight. I'm sure that started somewhere else where he just built that muscle and now he can flex it all day long. So we have to continue to work on ourselves and how it is that we expose ourselves to people. Here's one question I have for you. What would it be like if before we left our house by noon every day, we contacted 5 people? 5 people Monday through Friday. If you believe that your revenue would improve, say yes.
Yes.
5 people by noon. Back in the day, Hilda and I would call 100 by noon. 100. That was 30 for her, 30 for me. And if any of you know Kim Manager, she was in on that too. 33 each. And we wouldn't leave that room till that was done. No matter how many escrows we have, and sometimes it was 30. So it was the commitment to talking to people. Now, do I want you to grind out 30 cold calls? That's not what I'm saying. I want you to just talk to 5 people a day. If it happens to be at the grocery store and just find a way to talk to the person at Whole Foods on the other side of the taking the check register, you can talk to that person. That'd be one of your 5. But if you do 5 a day, would your results be different? Does it make you nervous? The thought of doing that Monday through Friday. Well, if it doesn't make you nervous, it's a no-brainer. If it makes you nervous, I really encourage you to do it. And if you're telling yourself, I'm above that, consider that you're in sales. This is what we do. We talk to people. So I'm going to go into next slide. Is hard to find. So adapting to any market. So let's talk a little bit about how you find leads. So one of the most effective and efficient ways to find leads, we believe in our company, is your CRM, because they're already in there. It's how do you convert them? And a lot of them are your past clients, a lot of them are family and friends, and how do you work on those? But first of all, you have to have a strong and organized CRM. And if you believe that there's value in a CRM, say yes.
Yes.
Okay. If you believe that most agents don't have a good CRM, say yes.
Yes.
It's true, right? So I also want to go into the basics, FSBOs, open houses, getting involved in clubs. I talk about Irvin and Sarah, people who just get involved and donating their time and being available for people. That's a great way of doing it. Joining the Chamber of Commerce, a smart thing to do. Put on a seminar just like this. They'll do it with you. You want to bring in buyers, bring in sellers, fill in the room and start teaching people, especially people of your generation, right? You start getting them in here and do a seminar. Do that, but do it consistently. Do 1 a quarter and make that part of your marketing plan for the year. You know, I mentioned to you earlier, in our company, we provide our agents leads that come in. And sometimes for me, they're past clients of mine. One thing that I'm very proud of is that I don't want to compete with my agents. I don't want Susan to ever be at the same listing with an agent. So that's something that I never had that before, because I was always competing against agents in my personal company where I used to work. And I always found that a little bit of a conflict. I don't want to do that anymore. So I want to pass the leads up. But which agents do you think we want to pass the leads on to? What kind of agents do you think we want to give leads on to?
Those that are most out in the community.
Most of them, people that are willing to talk to people. People that are willing to put in the work, people that are willing to put in the time, and people that work for a 5-star review. I mean, I believe it all starts and stops with that review at the end. That's the prize. It's not the money. The review is the prize.
Money helps.
The money follows. The money so follows in droves. What's crazy is that I used to say, it's fun to get 1 check a week, and real estate is cool to get 3 or 4 a week. I mean, you can do that. You can have that. So let's go into the do's and the don'ts. I'm going to start with the negative side of the coin, just to get it over with, the don'ts. So don't listen to other agents making excuses when we are in a valley. Do you see that happening right now? Our agents are just saying how bad things are. That's got to stop. You don't want to hear it. I remember I have a friend in Miami who I called him 2009, 2010, and he was telling me how bad things were. And I was telling him all the things that Susan and I were going to do to just kick into high gear, because we just got off the speaking circuit and now we're just going to start this real estate business again and all that. And I remember just yelling at him and saying, I don't want to talk anymore, because it was such a downer that I couldn't stand it. And I finally let it go. And I realized that he's still a downer. Even last year, he was a downer in the best market ever. He's just a downer. So you have to watch who you surround yourselves with. Don't be afraid of talking to people. Don't allow the negative self-talk. The negative self-talk is the killer. Don't use the market as the excuse. Don't spread negativity. Don't be that person that's constantly spreading negativity. There's always a positive spin on anything. Here's another strong one that I feel very strongly about. Don't wait for REOs, please. You know, if you're sitting back waiting for the day that REOs come, then you haven't done enough homework to realize that there's not a wave of REOs coming. You know, if you believe that there are, good luck with you. Okay, don't let technology be a distraction, starting with your phone. That phone can kill you. Susan gets annoyed at times because if you look at the amount of hours I'm on that phone, I have 2 of them. I have a family one and I have a personal one. The personal one I use from 9 to 5, sometimes from 4 a.m. to 5 p.m., but let's call it 9 to 5. But the family one, is the one that I take calls all day and after 5 a.m., midnight, anytime. And what I do is I use my business phone to do any project that I'm working on. And sometimes it could be a YouTube channel. It could be something interesting that I find rewarding from a creative standpoint. So I use that phone to work from it, but I stop my real estate business at 5 p.m. Every single day it stops at 5 p.m. But it's because I want to honor Susan. And then Susan is still in production. She's still selling real estate and she wants to honor me. And then she stops her business at 5 p.m. So with that being said, she tries. She was working on her CRM yesterday and she went like an hour over and I'm like, let her go. You're going too crazy now with the CRM thing, but she's become like the CRM ninja. She's also understands that you can make your CRM work for you. We have bells and whistles that get added to the CRM. I know, Sarah, Carrie, you're experiencing that now. Irvin is totally leaning in. The CRM is literally getting people to call them because it's doing all the legwork. The CRM is actually doing the prospecting for you. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool that those things, and now that Susan sees that happening, she's like, you mean I don't have to make calls and they're just calling me first? That's no brainer. Although Susan makes the calls. So let's go into the do's. These are the fun. Next time I'll get a clicker. So the do's, create your own reality, own your own reality. Start with positivity. Everything rises and falls from your perspective. Does that make sense to people? Everything rises and falls from your perspective. If it's a beautiful sunny day out there, it's a beautiful sunny day. But if it's a crappy, gloomy day, Hilda Hensley will tell you it's watering everything. So there's always a positive side. Even Hilda, why Hilda's one of the 5 people in my closest circle is because no matter how bad things are, Hilda will always tell you that it's okay because she knows it's temporary. The sunny day's coming. She knows that the water that's coming in is needed and highly regarded. So she doesn't get bogged down by a gloomy day. Jerry might. So she helps me get over that funk. So again, I go back to who you surround yourself is so powerful and so important. Show up. I think 97% of everything or more is all about showing up. have a routine. That one I'm learning now more than ever. That one in the last 3 months have been so powerful. I mean, it's gotten to the place now that I get up because of Susan. Now she's getting up at 4:45 a.m. to be at a class at the gym by 5:45. So now I start getting out of bed about 4:30 to 5. Today I was at the gym by 6 a.m., but I'd already done a few pages on my journal. I'm at the gym by 6. I did a 1-hour workout, 20-minute sauna. Then I worked more on the presentation today. And that's been my routine now. And now on top of that, because I'm eating better and losing weight, now I don't walk the dogs once a day. I walk them twice a day, 7 days a week. And then I sauna for 20 minutes, 4 times a week. And this continues to build on itself. So now Idisham is encouraging me to do fasting with him. So I don't know if I'm going to be up for that challenge, but maybe I will. Get involved. I love the get involved part. I think of Sarah and Irvin a lot. And when it comes down to that, I know, we all have things that make us busy. Sarah's a single mother of 5. So if we have excuses, I don't think she wants to hear them. So the other thing that's critical is having a business plan. You gotta have a business plan. And here's another thing. If you believe that most agents don't have a business plan, say yes.
Yes.
If you believe that their business might be a lot better if they had a business plan, say yes. It's critical, you guys. Not only a business plan, an action plan. If you need one, I'm going to put my email at the end. Send me a little ask for it. And I'll send it to you. Idisham or Sid will send it over to you. I'll send you a business plan format. I'll send you an action plan format. And I will also send you something else that's very cool. I'll tell you about it in a minute. Being available, work on your mindset and skill set. That's critical. I just mentioned Mel Robbins. If you want to put something good in your mind, I love listening to powerful women. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't get enough mothering because I left my house so young. And I really wasn't kidding about that. That's true, right? So with that, I am always impressed by powerful, strong women, which is Susan. So she was the mother of 5, but fortunately for her, she didn't have to do it alone. And that's why I always take my hat off to you in a big way. So working on that is super important. Here's the other one that I think is super important. And I've recently learned this one is taking care of yourself, but taking care of yourself first. Sarah, if you believe that taking care of those, yeah. And we'll talk about that. Yeah, I get it. But it's the one thing. And as we get to know each other more, because we're getting deeper into the weeds, we're talking about P&Ls, we're talking about running your business from a month to month, expenses, P&L, just running your business really like a business, and you're totally doing it. This one has to come into play is that it's Sarah's turn. It is Sarah's turn now. It's not when they all go to college, because man, you still got a ways. So, well, we're here to support it. No, we're here to support it. Work on your current and past relationships. I think that's super important. And Hilda and I are fans of that. I still have friends that they're close in our circle who could be competitors to us, but they are in our circles, and they're people that we admire and we regard and we respect, and we still go to them for questions when we're in doubt. So make sure that you pick your sphere carefully. So the next one talks about that. Surround yourself with positive people. You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. I totally believe that. You might have 10, you might have 3. Make sure you pick the right 10, 5, or 3. It's critical. And unfortunately, I haven't been popular because I have, put people on a shelf. And, it comes at a cost, and you might not be too popular. But then when I look back, most of the time that I've done that, there's the reason why I did that. And it was called, self-preservation, survival, being able to stay positive for other people, being able to stay positive for my family. Going out and hanging around with the buds at the bar was not good for a marriage, and some people do that and it works for their marriage. It wouldn't work for mine. So here's we're getting close to the end. Hilda, how are we doing on time? Thank you. Oh, I want to explain the pony, Idisham. So I learned this recently. There's 2 kinds of people in the world. There are show ponies and there are work ponies. Kim Manager said that to me a long time ago. I'm going to give her the credit for that because I think she still uses that a lot. Any of you know Kim? Yeah. So Kim is an insurance person here in Napa. And good friend, she used to be part of my team back in the day. She started as an assistant, moved her way up the ladder and became a very successful real estate person. Hilda was part of my team for a year, was the record-breaking year number of transactions that we did that year when Hilda worked with me before. In the middle of lending, she gave it a try and she was amazing at it. For some crazy reason, she loves numbers more. Don't understand it, but she still does, which is what makes her so good at what she does. But I recently learned this because I recently hired a show pony. Show ponies are expensive. Show ponies look good. The bios look amazing. Everything looks stellar. Show ponies come with signing bonuses. And when it came time to do the work, build a show pony. Didn't want to pull, didn't want to hoe, didn't want to just sweat. And it took us about 3 months to realize that was just weighing the company down. And you talk about having to make a tough decision. It was time to make a decision because it was weighing everybody and affecting everybody's mindset. So you have to recognize that in your sphere too, even within work. If you're working at a place that's affecting your mindset and not letting you get to the next level, you take ownership of that and you have to make the difficult decision. But I encourage you, this is a beautiful horse, but it can pull. And what I'm surrounded with now in this company called Homestead Real Estate, even though there are a lot of beautiful people in this company, they're work ponies. They will do the job, you know, and that I'm impressed with, and they are available. I wanted to explain the little horsey. So how to win big in real estate? If you agree that real estate is a numbers game, say yes.
Yes.
It's a major numbers game, just like dating. It's not any different. I have to think back till I was 9. I started dating Susan when I was 20. When I was 19, it was a numbers game. You know, there's a lot of people in New York City. If you were to go out dating, you're going to talk to a lot of people. You put yourself out there, right? Real estate is not any different. You have to put yourself out there. The thought of being a secret agent has never helped anybody. So you have to try. And that's where confidence comes second. The trying comes first. The time to buy more real estate is rapidly approaching. If you agree with that, say yes.
Yes.
I love what Helly Saranen said one day at one of our meetings at Coldwell. She said, if I would have bought only the overpriced listings 10 years ago, I'd be just fine. If I would have just bought the overpriced ones, not considering the good deals. So start thinking that when your sales are up, you need to diversify and buy more real estate. Have multiple streams of revenue, whether it's rental property, whether it's the stock market, because you understand that really well. Not a fan. It's not my thing. I like what I can touch, feel, and move into if I needed to. Or rent, right? This one's critical. Running your business like a business is super important, people. You are all business owners, as am I. Business plan, action plans are key. And then the last one there, being a time management ninja. If you can improve your time management skills, say yes.
Yes.
We all can, because that's the one thing we all have that is actually the same. And we need to improve blocking out time. Irisham will tell you that I resist that like crazy. I love to be able to meander through time. I love it. Oh, but I have a director of operations named Irisham Khan, and he will not allow for that. So he blocks and blocks. So I surround myself with somebody that doesn't let me slide. Hilda would not let me slide back in the days when we used to get in that room and make the calls that we had to make. I surround myself with people that make me better and call me out. They don't do it in a malicious way. They don't do it angry. They don't do it. But boy, they sure have a way with letting you know if you disappointed them, just by the look on their face. And I'm petrified at the thought of it disappointing him, always petrified at the thought of disappointing Hilda. So think about the people that you don't want to disappoint. So I want to talk to you about our corporate methodology, not because it should matter to you, but maybe you consider adopting something like it. Our methodology is called Kaizen. Have any of you heard the term Kaizen? So Kaizen, I was looking for a word that embodied what I did for produce and made me so successful in produce, which is the always improving. And then I looked it up and there's a word and there's a business methodology. And then I ran to Irisham. I said, Irisham, have you ever heard of Kaizen? He says, of course, I studied that for my master's in business school. I said, well, excuse me, because I don't have a fucking master's.
Yeah.
And I need your help, Idisha. So, but he says it is a business methodology. It was adopted or not adopted, created. It was Toyota, right? I think it was Toyota that created it post World War II to improve their systems. They're still using it today. And what it means is always improving. Change is for good. And the fact that change is good, we always improve. If I did the same exact presentation next week with a different audience, would you believe that it might be just a little better next week? And the week after, could it be just a little better? Okay. And then week after that, I might start asking for feedback, and then would it get just a little better? It's the same for you. When you go to a listing appointment, when you handle a buyer, when you do a buyer intake, if you guys are not doing buyer intakes over Zoom or in person before you start the process to build community with your buyer, you're missing out. A buyer presentation on a slide deck over Zoom or in person can set you apart in a way that you've never experienced. And if I was representing buyers, I'd steal all your clients because every one of them would get that presentation and they would say, oh, my other agent never did anything like that. What's your value proposition to your buyer? Do you have somebody to help you create a slide deck for that? Now, as Sarah sits there, she's going, I want that fucking slide deck, Jerry, so make it happen. So
Edison did that for me.
he already did that for you, right? That's already done. You got that. So sorry about the F-bombs. by the way. I'm feeling just a little more comfortable now. Okay, so Kaizen is really important. Consider reading books on Kaizen. There's YouTube videos on Kaizen. If you want the name of the book that we give agents in our company, reach out to us. We'll give you the author. I can't remember the name of it, but we have a phenomenal, beautiful Kaizen book that talks every detail of Kaizen. Kaizen can even help you improve the quality of your life at home and how systems work. Because there is a guy named James Clear who wrote a book, The Atomic Habit. And James Clear said that we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And I believe that too. I was never systems driven when I started in the business. And if I would have been a lot more successful a lot sooner. You know, if you think that homestead real estate is systems driven, you would be right. We are so systems driven because it's so easy to drop the ball when you have a lot going on. So consider systems as being something. And if, again, email me. If you have questions about any of that, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk about it. So I'll end just by saying a little bit of what's next for me. I wanted to share this with you. I want to continue to build this great company of ours and just keep bringing the ninjas that we can align with, that want to take their business to the next level. So I'm just passionate about that. And I am having the time of my life. And also part of what makes me have the time of my life is I want to teach you to get to a place where your business you can do from anywhere. And we have the technology to support that. What's next also is I started a YouTube channel. This was me not that long ago. This is me not that long ago, and now I'm down to about 212 pounds. So I still have about 50 pounds to go. So you're catching me in the middle of my journey. But this is me not quite too happy. And this is me enjoying life, but a lot more focused. So I want you to consider getting focused about everything. If it happens to be nutrition, consider that. If it happens, I call this the SOS challenge. I've removed salt, oil, and sugar from my diet entirely in all animal products. So some of you are probably asking yourself, so what are you eating? So it's very, it's limited in a way where you might think it's limited if you're going to go with your friends to Bouchon. That would be hard there. But it's not hard at all when you own it and you know that you're going to feel in a way that you've never felt before because mental clarity is at a different degree. A lot of the foods that we eat bog down our mental clarity and what we're able to do, how much energy we have, how much energy we don't have. And what I haven't told you is that I also removed all alcohol and caffeine. Because guess what? I don't need caffeine. I just think that I do. It has an effect on Susan when I drink caffeine. And it's not good for me. It's not good for me. So if any of you would like to stay connected to me, through YouTube, I have what I'm calling the @Jerry Pujols Project 2.0. And I'd love for you to subscribe and check out what I'm doing because it's all about the new challenges and how I'm helping myself improve myself because there's such a freaking long way to go because it never ends. The journey and the trail doesn't end. I always use hiking as a metaphor for life. There are the peaks and the valleys in life. And we need to survive the valleys so we can really enjoy the peaks. but we need to strengthen for the valleys while we're at the peak. So we really need to strengthen. So I would love for any of you to support this. And then my next journey is for July. I want to summit Mount Whitney. I've done it from the backside, which is right around here. I came from the backside. So I came from about 8,000 feet to 4,000 feet. This time I want to summit it in one day. So I want to do the 14,000 feet from bottom to the top, and I'll be doing that in July. So I have about, again, 50 pounds to lose. I have a lot more health to build, and I am super excited about doing that and giving you the updates on that. So with that being said, I'll open it up for questions, but thank you so much for all your time. I really appreciate it. This is a good group. Look at that. They were at the house the other day. Thank you, everyone. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll be around selling you my books.
Actually,
No, no.
Now.
I needed that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all. Really appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing all this.
Thank you for doing all of this. That's amazing. Because I'm not, so you.